Hi everybody. So today we're going to take a deeper look at advantage, disadvantage essays. Our previous lesson covered exactly what they are, and this class we're going to teach you how to write one. So let's take a look at what the examiners use to mark us. There's 4 sections. The first one is task achievement. This one assesses how well you address the task prompt and makes sure that you fully extend all of your points. The second we've got is coherence and cohesion. This evaluates the organisation and flow of your essay. It's about the progression of your ideas, using cohesive devices like linking words, maintaining a clear overall structure. Your essay should be easy to understand. The third and fourth sections are where your grammatical and language skills come into play. Lexical resource assesses your vocabulary and how effectively you can express yourself, while grammatical range and accuracy evaluates your master of grammar. So let's take a look at the question. First of all, we're going to analyse it. Thanks to low-cost airlines, many people can travel abroad. What advantages and disadvantages do tourists bring to the countries they visit? So this is talking about low-cost, budget airlines, and it's talking about flying overseas. It's asking us the advantages and disadvantages that people bring to the places they visit. It's not asking about the advantages and disadvantages of low-cost airlines. It doesn't require our opinion. It's not saying, do we think this is a good thing or a bad thing? In order to score a good mark for our task achievement, we're not going to give an opinion. We're just going to tell the examiners the advantages and disadvantages. It doesn't ask for examples in this particular essay, but of course we could give one. We'd use one for each paragraph, but if we do that, it's better to maintain 1 point, 1 extension. So you make your point and explain why it's an advantage, and then you give an example of that. Don't try to put in 2 or 3 examples for every paragraph. Your essay will either be very long or you won't have a chance to fully extend your answers. Now, let's switch gears and focus on the outweigh style essay. This is where things get interesting, especially for those aiming for a high task achievement score in your IELTS. Unlike the neutral style, the advantage-disadvantage, where you're simply presenting facts without taking a side, the outweigh style demands your opinion. It's not just about listing the advantages and disadvantages tourists bring, it's about arguing which side is more significant. In the outweigh style, you're like a debater. You acknowledge both the positive and negative impacts of tourism, but you take a stand. You argue that either the advantages or disadvantages outweigh the other. This is crucial for a high task achievement score in IELTS writing. Examiners want to see that you can not only analyse both sides of the issue, but also form and express a clear, well-supported opinion. So, remember, while the neutral style is about being an unbiased observer, the outweigh style is about being a passionate advocate. Your ability to spot this difference and effectively express your opinion is key to excelling in your IELTS essay. Now, I've been teaching IELTS for many years, and one thing that I've always found easy is to come up with ideas. Here's how I do it. Every question we can think about in terms of work, that means anything to do with work. Education, schools, universities, and increasingly prisons. Family means anybody you know. It's your social circle. Health is physical health and mental health. Environment, well, that just means the environment. So when I think about the question about low-cost airlines and tourism, for work, tourism brings in jobs. These are helpful and needed in underdeveloped locations. Education, we can spend taxes raised on tourists on local schools. These will improve educational abilities for local students. Health, tourists need roads, hospitals, clean water. If they build these for the tourists, then local people can use them. If we look at the disadvantages, we can say that jobs can be poorly paid and seasonal. What happens when all the tourists go home? All the jobs finish, so they're not stable. Family, I think about the Airbnb position. If you have a house that you own in some beautiful seaside village, you probably wouldn't sell it, you'd rent it out to tourists. You'll make a lot more money. Health, I thought about COVID. International travel spread it all over the world. And finally, environment. When we're building hotels, we're going to cause environmental damage. We're going to cause a loss of habitat for the local flora and fauna. Any question that comes up in IELTS, you can always look at it in these terms and come up with ideas. Once you've done this, your essay is basically finished. It's a very important part. Now, we've analysed the question, so we know exactly what we're writing about. Once we've done that, we've thought about the ideas. And now we're going to do the final part. We're going to write or compose the essay. So the first thing we're going to do is write our introduction. First part is the paraphrase. If you notice, the question says, thanks to low-cost airlines, many people can travel abroad. On my paraphrase, I've said large numbers of people are able to travel overseas due to the influence of budget airlines. Notice how I've changed the clause positions around. The first one starts with low-cost airlines. On my paraphrase, I've moved that to the second half of the sentence. My next part is the thesis statement. Tourism has the potential to contribute to economic and infrastructural improvements in foreign communities, but it also presents certain drawbacks that need to be considered. Notice how I'm showing the examiner what my advantages are going to be, but I'm just mentioning that there are disadvantages. It's a 250 word essay, so we don't need to say here are the advantages and the disadvantages. That would make the essay very, very long. So we start our advantages off with a question. This improves our grammatical range and accuracy, and it leads the examiner into the advantage paragraph. Then we make a point. We talk about tourism leads to more jobs. Then we extend the point. So the green is our point. The yellow is the extension. Notice how closely that my essay follows the brainstorm. As I said, when we've done our brainstorm, our essay's pretty much finished. I'm using different sentence structures. I'm making sure I've got complex sentence structures in, and I'm moving from point to point with firstly, secondly, and thirdly. When we come to our next paragraph, we're going to use different sentence structures and we're going to use different linking language. It's all about showing the examiner every skill that we've got in order to get the highest grade. So now we move on to our disadvantages. We start with on the other hand, and we're going to use different language, different linking sentences coming through. We don't want to say firstly, secondly, thirdly. We've demonstrated to the examiner we're aware of that. We know we can do that. We want to show them as many skills as possible. So I'm using things like furthermore and another concern arises. These are the sorts of expressions you need to learn to really improve your score. It's not about difficult words, but it's about good complex sentences and excellent linking language. And finally, we come to our conclusion. We only start a conclusion with in conclusion or to conclude. Nothing else really works. So everything about in summary and in a nutshell and finally, we're going to remove those. In conclusion, while tourism can bring about some benefits to local areas, remember the introduction where we said what the advantages were and said that there were disadvantages. Here we turn that on its head. We just say, look, there are some benefits to tourism, but it can also bring about low-paying, insecure jobs and harm the health and housing opportunities of local residents. Notice how I've shown the disadvantages, but I'm just mentioning the advantages. There's no need to do both. It's a 250 word essay, and that's a perfect length. So I've included the full essay here. It's really important to look at the balance. Notice how the body paragraphs, the advantages and disadvantages, are of a very similar length. That's important. We don't want to write sort of 150 words of advantage and 50 words of disadvantage. A sentence or two wouldn't matter, but we don't want to make it massively different. Aim for balance throughout the essay. The best sort of thing would be 10% introduction, 40% body 1, so that's about 110 words. The same for body 2, and then a short conclusion. Don't be tempted to try to write more. You're not going to get a higher score. Around about 280 words should be the top end of the length of your essay. Most students will try to write more and they'll end up making more mistakes, or they'll not come to a point, or they'll always spell one word wrong, and it'll lower your grade. Keep your essays to about 270, 280 words as your butter zone. Think about your skeleton. What's it there for? It supports you, it helps you stand up, and it protects things, all your vital organs. This is the structure of an advantage-disadvantage essay. If you can learn this, you're most of the way to winning. It's very simple, but if you can take it into the exam with you, it's like having an IELTS expert sitting next to you writing half the essay for you. Obviously we can't learn every single different exam question, and that would be a massive mistake to try, but we can learn the structures. These are essential to passing your exam. Hopefully that's made things clearer for you all. If you found any value in this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and come and visit our website. There's a link in the description below.